Hello everybody. Thank you for your comments and feedback in the last video. If you haven't watched the last video, it was about having friction and tension in communication and the value that can be harvested from that type of interaction when there's a difference of opinion or disagreement. And it happened to me with a particular client. It happened to me somewhat with a longtime friend that I've had. And it's very revealing about myself, how I respond in those situations. And having a few days since I made the last video to reflect upon it, so much answers and revelations and just kind of like intuitive insights come up where I can look at that experience and go, I'm so thankful that happened. It really sharpened me and made me a better person, even though obviously I would have liked a different outcome, but it was such a positive experience. And it helped me to modify and change the way I coach not a huge degree, but to a small degree, and the way I engage with people. My name is Steve, by the way. I'm the Affordable Life Coach. For those that are new to the channel, I've been doing it for 13 and a half years now. If you're interested in a complimentary consultation, it is in the description, my email. Absolutely free the consultation, no obligation afterwards. And then ridiculously affordable sessions if you do decide that you would like some life coaching. And just a quick summary. So there was a client who started off very closed off, very skeptical about coaching, even before we started the consultation, had a list of all the reasons that he was skeptical about coaching. And it wasn't in me particular, it was about just coaching in general. And there was just a lot of back and forth and a lot of like underlying tension that I could feel in our coaching sessions. We just weren't connecting. And so what I did was try to push the issue and give us focus on ways that we could connect. I'm very solution orientated. And so I've had a number of sessions with him. And during our last session, when things just kind of went downhill and he's decided that he's going to stop coaching, is he again complained about his reservations. He had some concerns about me. He didn't like something I had said in one of my videos. And the thing that really frustrated me was there was not engagement. There was not a back and forth. He was giving his opinion and then shutting off discussion, or just being unmovable in what he viewed about coaching or his views about me in particular. His mind was made up, and that was it. And my mistake that I made was I tried to find a solution and say, and I called him out on it. I said, instead of complaining about all your concerns about coaching, you're spending money for the coaching. Why don't you focus on finding solutions so we can have productive sessions instead of focusing on your hesitancy or your fears or your concerns, because the wall was never let down. So we really didn't get an opportunity to connect. And he said, "Why can't you just accept what I'm saying?" And that resonated with me afterwards, and I really appreciated him being honest with me. And from my viewpoint, I was coming from, I can't accept it, or I don't want to accept it, because I want to help you to grow. I want you to help you overcome some of the challenges that you're facing in the life, and some of the struggles that you're facing in life. And that's what I'm here for. And that's when there was friction, and we didn't really have a back and forth. He stuck to his viewpoint, I stuck to mine. And another mistake I made, I started to get frustrated. And what I learned is we all have patterns. And one of my patterns, when I feel that I'm shut down in communication, like the person's not listening, they don't want to engage, they don't even want to hear my side, their heels are dug in. And this is not just in coaching, this is just my life in general. They want to avoid discussing things. When the communication is shut down, it does frustrate me. And I feel a sense of not being heard, not being listened to, and just the wall goes up, and there's complete disengagement. And part of the lesson is I have to react better to that, and I have to next time to be more vigilant when a person is intractable, when a person is not open, not receptive, not going to change their viewpoint. Me trying to reach them or find a solution or help them to change their viewpoint, which I feel like it was harming him, because he's not getting value out of coaching, and he's still having these particular issues that he originally contacted me for coaching in the first place. And I just have to let it go, and just accept that this is the way they are. The more I try to find a solution or try to give them a different perspective, the more attached they are going to be to their viewpoint, even if their viewpoint is limiting them. And that's what was so frustrating for me, because it was limiting the work that we could do together. But that's just the nature of communication, and especially with how in this day and age, as I talked about with my other friend, you've got to realize we're talking to people that have been indoctrinated, and indoctrinated is probably too strong of a word, have been conditioned to believe a certain way through repetition, by social media being an echo chamber, and it reinforces what they want to believe, what they already believe, what their tribe believes. And with some people, they've had thousands and thousands of hours of reading stuff online, of watching videos, of hanging around other people that agree with what they say and how they feel. And you can't compete against that. And in some people, it goes back to their childhood, and that you can't compete with either the trauma that they experience, or that causes their walls to be put up in the first place, the pain that causes their walls and them not wanting to be open up or not be defensive. It runs so deep, and it's many times not about you, not about me. It's about what they've got going on, and that there's not an openness to heal. There's not an openness to change. There's not an openness to be challenged. There's not an openness to the self-limiting beliefs to be challenged, or how their patterns are creating their suffering, or their beliefs. There's not an willingness to engage in a discussion where it's a back and forth, and there's some give, there's some flexibility. When I was talking to my friend and even the client, there was no give, there was no flexibility. And when you push something that's inflexible, which I did, it breaks. And in this case, it broke. He ended immediately. Not immediately. We finished the session. Uh, the coaching relationship. Not with my friend. My friend, I'm still trying to work through it, but he's got some strongly held beliefs, and I always like to ask for the sources of how did you come to this belief. He's got some strong opinions about. So, well, yeah, we all do, but we don't necessarily. I didn't necessarily see eye to eye with him, and I ask, and I'm seeking out still more sources of how he came to this particular belief system. Again, it's something political in nature, and when I started watching his sources, I go, oh, that makes sense. Now I know why he's so rigid and believes so strongly in what he believes. And I asked him to give me some alternative sources that have the opposite viewpoint, which we should all expose ourselves to. But it's very difficult. It's human nature to seek out that which confirms what you want or already believe. And I haven't heard back on that front yet. Maybe he'll send me some stuff. But my inclination is that his main focus was what he already previously wanted to believe, or he has some heuristic that is like a shortcut to come to a decision or a conclusion about some politics or about belief systems or about how he lives his life. And we all do this. We all have these tendencies, but they can be massive blind spots. And I really feel with my client, my ex-client, is, man, we missed a golden opportunity, because I have been through this with certain clients, and it's mostly male clients in their 20s and early 30s, that it's just, they don't want to have their belief system challenged. They don't want to look at their life from a different, and I'm making a big generalization. This is a minority. So when I say my clients in 20s, 30s, I'm talking about 1 out of every 10 clients in their 20s and 30s. But that's who I find this most happen to. And really, let's get to the heart of the matter. They don't want to change. That's what I found. I'm not saying that's the case with this particular client. I haven't worked with him long enough to be able to determine that. But that's really what it is. They don't want to change, and they want someone that's going to confirm what they already believe or who they already are. And they don't want to look at themselves from a lens that is critical but liberating, that would give them a sense of empowerment. It's much easier to blame other people, to be a victim, and to continue doing what hasn't been working. Change is hard. People don't like to change because it takes effort. It takes vulnerability. It takes time. It takes sacrifice. And it takes putting down your ego and saying, okay, you know what? I've made mistakes here. And that's what I'm really trying to do. And I feel like I've learned, and even some of the feedback you gave me in the past video, some of the subscribers or people that watched that video, with some really good feedback. That one comment was that if I would just have listened, that would have been to him, I would have been a very active way to get him to open up. And that's spot on. And I've really been vigilant and mindful of that in my subsequent sessions after I had that session. And it's so exciting to shine the light on our flaws and our weaknesses and our fears and our insecurities and our mistakes, and to be able to turn that into fertilizer to grow. And it takes humility in which to do that. And it's something that it's a challenge to do, because I noticed my first instinct is sometimes to put my wall up and to want to defend myself. It's just human nature. It's something I have to catch myself, bite my tongue, listen. And that's another thing that I should have done in that session, is just listen to his feedback, let him vent, and let it be okay that he feels that way. And we don't need to change it. We don't need to fix it. If those walls and those issues that he had come down on their own, that's great. If not, that's fine too. And I'm not the right coach for him. And it's just a beautiful experience when I get clients who are not defensive, who can hear uncomfortable truths. And even in my friendships and relationships, it's just amazes me how fast they progress. And I will also add in that they want to take action. Because some clients will listen but they do nothing, or do little afterwards as far as implementing the things that we're discussing. And, it's just people. You get all range of spectrums. Some people just come to the coaching sessions. They want to have someone to talk to that's genuinely interested and is going to be not neutral. It's going to be neutral or non-judgmental, about the things that they say. And in the process of talking, they figure solutions out on their own, and that's fine too. It's really hard to know, because people won't tell you what they need or what they want. And oftentimes I'm able to read it, but sometimes I don't read it correctly, and I make a mistake like I did before. And the other thing that I learned from this experience is the value of one of my subscribers wrote in a comment that he really appreciated me talking about a coaching session and sharing my experience and sharing, me being vulnerable, in these videos, and talking about what happened and my mistakes, and making the video more personal than most of my other videos where I don't make it about myself. So I appreciate that, because after talking about it and getting some of the feedback, and there was constructive feedback from people that watched my videos, it was helpful. It helped me to process what happened. And that's what I love about coaching people. That's what I love about when I get coached, is it's not like talking to a friend. It's not like talking to a family member. And it's a safe space in which to process life and to have realizations and have insights. And that takes many forms. And as a coach, I want to be more like water and being able to adapt to each individual situation. Sometimes it is really tough, because, and I'm sure you have people in your life like this, that all they want to do is complain about their lives and how unhappy and how miserable they are, and just play the victim narrative. And they don't want to do anything about it. And they don't want to take action. They just really want to vent, mope, complain, and be miserable. In a way, that can be addictive. And it's challenging as a coach when somebody doesn't want to change and they just want to complain and moan and really disempower themselves. But even in those situations, hey, the benefit I could be for them is just to listen and to help them process. And some people are just slow growth. I have some clients that's just slow and steady growth. and but they show up, session after session, and there's incremental progress. And then you look at our time together over a longer period of time, and you can see, yeah, they have changed, they have evolved, and they have grown. But I think we need to be honest with ourselves, in not only in a coaching dynamic, but just in our relationships in general, what it is that we want and what it is that we need. And it could change from moment to moment. Just telling someone, hey, I just need you to listen. Your partner or your friend, I'm not looking for advice. I'm not looking for suggestions or solutions. I need to talk about this. And they go, okay. Because sometimes it's hard to read. But if like I was from this particular client, I was getting from the get-go constant pushback. Yeah, I overstepped my boundaries, and again, I apologize to him and thank him, because man, it was very, very helpful. And he to his credit, he had full disclosure. He told me what he didn't like, what his concerns are, what his fears were, why he didn't want to open up. Fair enough. And that's just life. It's I had a session yesterday with a different client, and he was talking about, and it's so true. He was talking about how peaceful it is working on our self-development, spending time in nature, focusing on our health and exercising, reading books, and just the whole self-improvement in itself, and how enjoyable that is, and how peaceful that can be. But the moment you start adding other people into the equation, that's when the problems arise. That's when the challenges come. And that's really, you get to see the fruits of your own self-development. And I've been in self-development since I was young, probably 14, 15, 13 years old. And there's a fine line. It can be used as a form of escapism. And it could be a way for us to think that we're making progress and that we're improving. It's like learning a language, studying the verb conjugations, studying the vocabulary, the pronunciation, practicing your writing, your verbal skills, your listening skills by watching programs, but never actually going out and using the language and talking to people, because you're going to make mistakes because of fear of how you're going to be judged, or it's too scary, or it's too much work, whatever the reason being. And I think that can sometimes be how we use self-development and self-help. It's a comfortable way into fooling ourselves into thinking that we're evolving. And what really matters is using that in connecting and having meaningful, deep relationships with other people, and allowing space for friction in those relationships, and working through them, using the skills that we've learned in our self-development journey to practice. And it's messy. And that's why people don't like to do it. It's very messy. And especially if you're talking about making new friends, if you're talking about dating, if you're talking about trying a different approach with your partner, having more open and transparent communication with your partner or your family or your friends, having uncomfortable conversations, speaking authentically and honestly and openly. And it's challenging. It's so much easier to play it safe, but it's not fulfilling. It's not rewarding. My experiences with some of my most challenging clients has been my greatest growth as a coach, and my greatest learning opportunities come through mistakes and failures, and like I said in the last video, that friction. And when someone shuts that down, when you shut that down in other people shut that down in you, it's a huge missed opportunity. And we're too quick to shut other people down because of that friction, instead of having the fortitude, having the commitment to use the friction as a way to deepen the connection, and to do some self-reflection and look at yourself with a critical eye on how you can use that friction to become a better person. And that's what life is about. If we're constantly blaming and we have anger and hatred, excuse me, in our heart, we get what we see in our culture and in the world today. There's just too much anger. Excuse me. And then we just blame other people. So, thanks for watching. Losing my voice. If you, excuse me, that will be in the video. So, life is messy. We're messy as human beings. And when we embrace that, is when beautiful things start to happen and blossom. If you're interested in coaching, my email is in the description. Like I said, the consultation's complimentary, and then it's ridiculously affordable afterwards. Please comment, like, subscribe if you enjoyed these types of videos. It's unscripted, as you could see, unedited. And it's just a way, I hope, to share my thoughts and connect with the people that watch these type of videos. And thanks for tuning in. Look forward to the next one. Bye-bye.